Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Professor Ma. Today, Professor Ma will explain why property prices are so high. At this point, some viewers will probably remark that it is because land is scarce in Singapore. The reality is that 45% of the land in Singapore is underutilized. Yes, you heard correctly, 45% of the land in Singapore is underutilized. What do we mean by underutilized? It means that we are not making full use of the land. For example, the land occupied by the rid-out bungalows, the various parks, the military training areas, and so on. The government of Singapore owns 85% of all the land in Singapore. This appears to contradict the statistic that home ownership rate among residents in Singapore is 89.3%, but it does not. The reality is that 99-year leasehold property is merely a long-term lease agreement with the government as a landlord. Let me repeat that. The reality is that 99-year leasehold property is merely a long-term lease agreement with the government as a landlord. The Singapore government is a landlord and behaves like a landlord. If we examine the actions of the Singapore government in the property market, we will see that the actions and behaviors mirror the actions of a landlord. Firstly, the Singapore government props up prices in the property market. Many viewers would probably be thinking that the Singapore government has made public commitments to keep Singapore property prices affordable. Professor Ma would like to bring attention to the word, affordable. Notice the Singapore government does not commit to keep property prices low, it commits to keeping them affordable. This is typical landlord behavior. The main mechanism by which the Singapore government props up prices is by controlling the rate of government land sales or GLS. In any case, the word sales is a misnomer because the Singapore government no longer sells freehold land. So basically we are talking about 99-year leases being sold. If prices are too high, nobody will want to rent. Singapore will not be able to attract new residents. This brings us to the second point. The government is always bringing in new residents, be it permanent residents or new citizens. As a landlord, the aim is to bring in as much rental revenue as possible. Therefore, the Singapore government will continue to bring in more people. This is the main reason why our transport infrastructure is being constantly upgraded, which is the third point. The transport infrastructure is being constantly upgraded so that the Singapore government can squeeze more and more people into Singapore. So as Singaporeans, now that you know that the Singapore government is propping up property prices, what can you do? The first thing is to bear in mind that Singapore property is generally a safe investment. Of course, some individual units are overpriced, so you still have to watch out. Taken in this light, buying new executive condominiums is practically a sure win. Unfortunately, Singaporeans tend to lose out when balloting for executive condominium units. For more on this, please watch Professor Ma's video titled, Professor Ma Seeks Justice for Singaporean Men. In subsequent videos, Professor Ma will explain more aspects of life. In the meantime, please help by liking and by subscribing. Thank you.